Do you want to learn some cool new recipes to use with your Druids Grove texture vegetable protein?
Well, today on WTF, we're going to show you how to make meatballs, meatloaf, and even a bulgogi. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guerin.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. And here on WTF, every week we talk about unique ingredients, techniques, show you recipes and demos to get you started on your culinary adventures. So remember, subscribe or ring the bell, and that way you get notified of our content. We put out something new every single Tuesday. And this week we're going to be talking about textured vegetable protein, or TVP, as we're going to call it for short. And it's an ingredient that we originally brought on when we started making our ground plant-based meat recipes, plant-based burgers and sausages. But now that we have it and we love it, we really want to do an entire episode all around how do you get the most out of your TVP, both in terms of a few more ground meat recipes, as well as, what can you do with it on its own, which a lot of people like to use it that way. So definitely stick around. And I think just kind of one of the things maybe we should start off with just a little bit overview about what TVP is, because they're not all the same.
No, they're not all the same. There's many different types of TVP, and we went through a lot of different types, and we found one that we really liked. TVP is actually the byproduct of making soybean oil. So it's a soy product, and when they make the soybean oil, they extract it, and what's left over is the TVP, and it's a texturized product. So you get a lot of chew out of it, and that's the big selling point. Is this has the same texture as a ground meat. So you're able to get that same kind of chewy texture if you're doing, everything from a saute to a plant-based meat like we've made here. So we did a lot of different things with it, and we found that we just really love it, and it's even great on its own.
Yeah. And I know that one of the big demands that coming out of our plant-based meat series is people are like, because we were like, oh, you can make meatballs and stuff out of it. And people were like, how do you do this? So I know, because so many people were asking, we decided we wanted to do something around that as well.
Yes. Yeah, so we wanted to take our ingredients and we wanted to kind of just see what else we could do with it, because we were so happy with the plant-based meat, worked really hard on it. So I was, wanted to do different things, and we had showed off that meatball. And basically what it is, it's the same things that you would do with a meatball at home. Obviously, you just wouldn't add the egg product to it if you want to stay plant-based with it. So what we did is we added breadcrumbs to it. We added spices, chili flake and oregano, some garlic powder. The only thing you don't want to add is any extra moisture. So you don't want to add a wine or anything like that, because adding moisture to it could make it a little bit more delicate. It'll just fall apart. And if you like a meatball that's very delicate, you could absolutely add just a little bit of wine to it, and then you could do that. These meatballs, we added the burger binder to. So the burger binder is another product that kind of helps bind it together, hence the name. So we're able to simmer these meatballs in the sauce. We were able to sear them in a pan, roll them around, do all the things that we need to do with the meatballs regularly. We don't have to worry about it because it's plant-based, right? A lot of these times these are made for show rather than go. You go, oh, it's a plant-based meatball, so eat it with a soft touch. But these you can, if you wanted to, Janie, you could use that fork and you lift up one of these meatballs right here on top. And
I will.
You'll see that you can stick a fork in them, you can lift them up, you can take a bite of them. We actually took our picture that we took, the thumbnail for our recipe
abusing this
is
meatball.
A bite out of a meatball that is on a fork, and that is not something that you usually get with plant-based without a lot of extra ingredients added to it. This is our plant-based meat just with the binder and the spices. So really nice thing that can happen there. You can see it has texture, it has that bite that a meatball would.
I know, and that's really nice, because you don't want it crumbling apart on you all the time.
Yeah, you don't want it falling apart, especially if you put them into a sauce. Then you just end up with bolognese rather than spaghetti and meatballs. So then we took that same kind of idea and we made meatloaf. So it's along the same lines. It's just using it for different things. So you can take our plant-based meat and you can use it for so many different things. So the meatloaf here has a little bit extra of the burger binder than the meatballs, because you don't want them to be the same exact texture.
Right.
But then we made our own Ketchup Glaze. So Ketchup Glaze uses brown sugar, and we actually have that on the bottom there. So you put that over the top, and it makes it for a really nice, beautiful glaze on top. And inside of it, you can put whatever you want, as same as the meatballs. You don't want to add any extra moisture to it. But on the inside here, we added some finely diced mirepoix, which is carrot, celery, and onions, and we kind of caramelize that and put it in there, so you get some real richness out of it, as well as some thyme and rosemary. And then we put it with mashed potatoes that we made. Ooh. And these mashed potatoes contain olive oil, but it's the olive oil that is mixed with monoglycerides, so it kind of makes olive oil butter.
Okay.
So you kind of get the butteriness of the that texture when you're eating it without having to have butter or cream or anything like that. Right. And on top we just have a little bit of vegan sour cream and a little bit of parsley. But if you wanted to try that, Janie, I'm actually going to get into our demo, because we got a really cool demo that uses just TVP. Rather than having to make the plant-based meat all the time, you can also use TVP without having to make the plant-based meat, depending on what you're doing. So the TVP here is rehydrated. This is rehydrated a little bit of water. It's also rehydrated in some soy sauce. And Janie, if you want to show the dry TVP.
Yeah, it looks like crushed peanuts.
Yeah, pretty much. It's soft, it's really light. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually saute up some ginger, garlic, and scallions. So I'm going to start with my ginger, my garlic. Just get those going. And this is canola oil, or any neutral flavored oil, with a few drops of sesame oil. And then add my scallions. And what we're making here is bulgogi. So bulgogi is a Korean dish. Generally, it's cooked tableside. It can be all sorts of different things. It's a beef-based dish, but we wanted to make it with TVP because we love the flavors of it, and we know that the TVP takes on those flavors really well.
Okay. And how long do you have to hydrate TVP for before you can use it?
About 5 minutes before I started this shoot, I hydrate it.
Okay.
So it's really fast, especially when I'm going to be cooking it in some sort of liquid. It's going to work, almost instantaneously, especially if you're cooking with a lot of liquid, like I'm going to do it here. So it doesn't take a long time. Some people say a half hour, but if you're cooking it with liquid, you don't have to worry about that. Okay. So I've sweated these aromatics. I'm just going to
smells good.
Move them to the side.
Good.
All right. And then we have some onions. I'm going to get the onions going. I want to get them, I don't want to get them completely soft, because with this dish you don't want them to be completely soft. You want to have a little bit of texture to them. So I'm just going to start sweating them down.
Okay.
And these are just onions that have been sliced. As this starts to go, then we have some pear. Asian pear is what I used. If you only have regular pear, or if you don't like it too sweet, you don't have to use this. Is this just going?
Okay. Is there something in with the Asian pear?
Nope, that's just the Asian pear. It's just grated up, so it's really kind of grated.
Okay.
Really fine, so you don't have to cook it for too long. And then we have a little bit of carrot, also grated. We're just going to cook those quickly. And a lot of people, when you're making this dish, the first thing you're going to have to do is obviously marinate your meat.
Yep.
And then you're going to have to cook that first, because the meat takes so long to cook.
Right.
But when you're cooking with the TVP, you just have to heat it through.
Okay.
So as I get this,
yeah, so this is like a really great way to have a quick, healthy, like weekday meal. It's very satisfying. It's got that meaty feel, but this looks super easy, and if you don't have to marinate, you don't have to do this and that. Nice.
And then I just add a little bit of mirin and then some sugar. And we're just going to get that mixed in. And that sugar is really going to help kind of bring out any extra moisture as well. And then I make a little bit of space so I can get my TVP in there. And you'll see there's a little bit of liquid left in the bottom of this, and that liquid's going to begin to render, or begin to reduce, and start making the sauce. Ooh. So we have some other things to go with this. I'm going to let this cook for just a little bit so the moisture can kind of get nice and sticky. And we have a few other things. So we have a kimchi recipe that's on the blog. This one is completely plant-based. So sometimes with kimchi, there would be like little shrimp or some sort of shrimp powder or fish sauce. This has none of that. But we like to go and we like to have our own, local vegetables or local.
It smells so nice in here right now. I just want to say, I already had lunch, but now I want second lunch.
So in there we actually it's ramp season, so we were able to put some ramps and make some really great, kimchi. And then one other thing, we made the so this is banchan, which is just kind of little accompaniments to go with what you're cooking. So the cucumbers, I couldn't think of the word, cucumbers. Cucumbers are lightly pickled. They have a little bit of Korean chili flake. They have a little bit of vinegar and sugar. So those are really good. And Janie said that those were her favorite, so
they are.
I made those.
Sweet.
And then we have some greens, so we're actually going to be making lettuce wraps. So this is
nice.
Just about heated through.
I'm going to try one of these cucumbers.
Yep. Starting to get sticky.
Oh, so good.
So I'm actually going to pour this directly onto this plate here. Please knock it over. Right. And then garnish just a little bit more scallions on top. Oh, and one more thing. In with the TVP, I put the sesame seeds. So there's a little bit of sesame seeds in there as well. So if you wanted to, Janie, you could take one of the lettuce and make a lettuce wrap.
Oh, sweet.
Using this, and then with all the banchan as well.
No. And I love how quickly this came together.
Yeah, it's less than 5 minutes. Once you have everything completely prepped up, you can absolutely cook it in no time at all. And have a really simple meal that has plenty of protein, because the TVP has plenty of protein, even though it is plant-based. So
it smells really good. I know I keep saying that, but it's true. So I know that one of the things that when we looked at when we were originally making the ground meat recipe, we were testing a lot of different TVPs and we were not happy with them.
Yes.
Like, what is it about, I think, this one that you think, will really make it worth their while for people to have it in their kitchens? Because you can get TVP, honestly, at a lot of places, but we tested a whole bunch to come to come to this one.
So we saw a lot of different types of TVP, and some of them lighter, some of them darker, some of them really dark, some of them different grain sizes. We found that this one was the most like a traditional ground meat texture. Also, we found that it didn't have any off flavors or anything. Sometimes you get them and they taste very soy forward. Granted, this is soy. It doesn't necessarily taste of soy, especially when you're doing something like a meatball, meatloaf, anything like that. So we really like this one. And then obviously the larger ones just didn't. There was nothing to it that made me think of meat. It just was this big giant clump. But with this perfect size, we really liked it.
Yeah, and you can get, as always, all of today's recipes on our blog. The links will be in the description below. And if you want to watch Scott make the meatballs, I believe that's going to be on our Instagram at Modernist Pantry. So you can kind of watch this process from start to finish as well. And you just watch us make this. So all this is kind of really easy and makes, I think, TVP more accessible and more easier to use, which is super fun. So if you do try our recipes, or if you have questions, comments, leave them below. We'll read all of them, reply to most of them, and as well, if you do make any of these recipes, tag us on social media. It's always really fun to watch what you guys are doing too. So from here on the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Kelly. Thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell so you get notified when we drop a new video.
To get today's recipes and all of our recipes, remember to go to blog.modernistpantry.com, where you get recipes, ask a chefs, tips and tricks, and more.
And if you haven't already, tell a friend so they know what's going on here at WTF.
And as always, to get any of the ingredients you saw today, you can go to modernistpantry.com to shop.
And until next time, we'll be here in the test kitchen, helping you create memorable and magical experiences.